Now, when it comes to OEM integration, PAC has been at the forefront this entire time, always coming to market with brand new solutions to fit the most popular vehicles. Today, we've got their product expert, Matthew Palumbo, joining us to go through some of the latest offerings in the integration space. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about PAC, and it starts now. What's going on, guys, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and of course, we're talking about OEM integration, one of the most important categories right now in the entire 12-volt mobile electronics industry. And one of these key players that are providing solutions and continue to innovate is, of course, PAC Audio. Now, as you know, we have Matt Palumbo joining us. Matt, thanks for being with us today. What are we going to be discussing on today's Connected?
Yeah, Ben, we've got a lot of exciting new products to look at today. I mean, we're covering things like the CanPro, a new RadioPro interface, as well as a bunch of really cool platforms that our High 10 and Horizon 10 screens fit in and the kits that go with them.
All right, OEM integration is the name of the game, but first, a quick opportunity for our partner SiriusXM to remind you why it's always an amazing add-on sale. And when we come back, we've got Matthew Palumbo from PAC, and that's what we're talking about. Don't you dare go away.
Hi, Paul Truman here with SiriusXM. We reached out to some of our partners in the industry, and here's what they had to say.
I can't say more or enough about just what it means to have our unit working with SiriusXM. It's like we're there now.
The SiriusXM service is something consumers want, right? So it's Paul.
That allows a consumer to listen to either podcasts, entertainment, sports, all at their fingertips. It's all about engagement, and that's what SiriusXM provides.
SiriusXM is a huge component in a vehicle nowadays. Consumers expect that technology to be available both in our OEM system as well as the aftermarket upgrades that they're applying to their vehicle.
Alpine and SiriusXM, through our electronics, are able to offer the consumer on the aftermarket side SiriusXM 360L, which is an expanded platform for SiriusXM. And it's really been a beneficial relationship for us with SiriusXM.
As a dealer, just remember, we don't compete with anybody else. We are absolutely one of the best profitability accessories you can add to any head unit that is SiriusXM ready.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're talking OEM integration with, of course, PAC, which is part of the Stinger Solutions group of products. Now, Matt, the first product that we're going to talk about out of the gate seems to be the platform that is literally in every conversation I've been having, especially in OEM integration, and that is the 14 to 19 GM. This is something that, how can I say, is an incredibly popular platform. It's what is coming into the bays. We want to talk about the type of solutions that PAC offers, and more specifically, we're going to talk about the RadioPro interface.
Yeah, Ben, you're absolutely right. These are some of the most popular trucks on the road. They may not be the latest model, but they're still a very popular platform. And to be honest, up until recently, there hasn't really been a lot of great solutions for replacing that factory radio. So in this case, OEM integration means how are we going to integrate into the factory systems in the vehicle, but allow the dealer to replace that old, tired, potentially as small as 4-inch display with something a little bit more modern and upgraded. So that's where the GM6A RST comes in. It's an amazing module, and it's got a ton of features.
It's interesting you say that, Matt, because this platform certainly introduced a couple new challenges that we as the installers want to try to overcome. And two of the ones that I want to focus on here that I'm sure there's a solution for because of this kit is, of course, the Bose or non-Bose scenario, as well as the MOS 50 protocol.
Yeah, Ben, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, in these GM vehicles, it's always been kind of a challenge with what to do with that Bose system. And so this is finally an interface that really kind of all encompasses this generation of GM truck and SUV and GM platform. So with the GM6A RST, we can maintain those MOS 50 bus systems and allow us to maintain that factory Bose amplifier, whether that's a badged Bose system or the more basic Bose system. They're all covered here. And then we're also able to retain things like the OnStar, steering wheel controls, you name it, this kit can retain it, including warning chimes, backup sensors, all of that stuff that our customers have come to expect.
So during this session, you're going to hear a lot of technical terms, like I just mentioned, MOS 50. But Canbus is another one that you're going to come across very often. So I'm curious to know what PAC has as far as solutions for Canbus.
Yeah, Ben. So, I mean, Canbus is one of the most popular protocols in modern vehicles as far as communication from module to module within a vehicle and control of almost all the accessories in a lot of modern vehicles. So, what we've come up with under the PAC brand is a really cool product called CanPro. And this is one of those pieces where I think a lot of people don't fully understand what this does or really know how to use it. But what the CanPro actually does is it's a tiny little module, size of like a steering wheel control interface, for example. And it comes with a T-harness that you're going to plug in to either a late model Ford or late model Tesla vehicles, are the ones that it supports currently. We have more platforms coming that we're working on, but right now it's late model Ford and Tesla. And what this allows you to do is once this is plugged in, you have some little tiny switches on the end of it, and you can set these in order to obtain outputs. So what I mean by that is, let's say we've installed, say, a light bar on the front of your Ford truck, and we want to trigger that light bar with the high beam setting of the truck. You can absolutely do that. Let's say you want to add something to a modern Tesla and you want a reliable way to turn it on, whether that's an audio interface and you want to reliably turn on an amplifier, or maybe I want to trigger some sort of aftermarket accessory or lighting. You can do all of that with the CanPro.
I gotta admit, that is a very nifty tool to have, and it's one of those things that if you're not aware of it, then you wouldn't know it exists. So hopefully you guys heard about it here. Check it out, the new CanPro, not new, but the CanPro from PAC that could really help some custom features in your installs. All right, I would be remiss if we're gonna talk about OEM integration with PAC and not mention the new head unit, source unit that came out from Stinger, of course, part of the same family of products, called the Horizon. And with that comes some integration options. We're going to start off first with the very, very popular Jeep platform. We are specifically speaking to 18 to 23 JL and JT. Matt, what can you tell us?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. With these new Jeep platforms, I mean, everybody knows Jeeps are super popular for upgrades, whether it's the Gladiator or the Wrangler, doesn't really matter. They're all popular for upgrades. And a big part of that is that the OEM systems are not great. They definitely leave a lot to be desired. So what we've come up with is, if you've taken a look at it, the new Horizon 10 head unit from Stinger. And it is a huge step up from the high 10. Definitely a bigger, brighter screen and way more features, including wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, some awesome sound quality features. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. But if you've taken a look at that unit and you're thinking, how does that integrate into these modern Jeeps? That's what these integration kits are all about. So we usually call these our SR or SRK integration kits for the high 10 and the Horizon 10. If you're curious, these kits have all been updated or are being worked on being updated to include parts for both. So whether you have a Horizon 10 or the previous high 10 and want to make that work in your Jeep or Gladiator or Wrangler, we can take care of that all with one kit. The beautiful part is these kits come with absolutely everything. They come with the RadioPro Advanced module. They come with the camera integration module for those factory cameras if they're equipped. We've got USB retention, steering wheel control retention, factory amplifier retention if necessary. I mean, every feature you can imagine and then some. That's one of the beautiful parts about this, is that these kits really go above and beyond to where not only are we maintaining the features and accessories that the vehicle came with, but now we're also integrating more. So we're pulling some of the data from the network in the vehicle and allowing it to display and be manipulated on this aftermarket screen. So this gives us access to things like climate control information and control, off-road pages where we have things like, an altimeter and a skew meter, things like that. We can do all sorts of off-road mapping. We can see door open status, tire pressures, drive case, transfer case, I should say, status. There's a ton that we can integrate with and pull that data off of the Jeep's network and get it to display right on the screen on that beautiful high-res display. It's so, so cool.
Now I know what you're thinking, but what if I own a JK, Ben? What is there for me to do? I don't have a JL or a JT. Are there any solutions to integrate into my JK that could really update my user experience?
Yep, I'm glad you asked. Absolutely, we have integration for the Jeep JKs as well. Now, the cool part about the JK, in my opinion, is a lot of people look past the JK and go, well, it just has a regular doubled-in opening in the dash. I'm just going to put a doubled-in there with some strips of plastic on the sides, and I'm going to call it a day. It'll be fine. Or maybe they are going to go for a big screen and they're going to do the traditional floating screen style radio, and it looks okay. It integrates in there okay, but it never looks factory. And that's the big difference, is if you go with Stinger and you use our parts and our head unit, whether that's the High 10 or the Horizon 10, the way they integrate into the dash is just gorgeous. Our dash kits and plastics and integration parts make it physically mold into the dash. It looks like a factory option. These radios actually don't even have the word Stinger stamped on them. So, I mean, physically speaking, from the outside, if you're peeking into one of these vehicles, you may not know that it's an aftermarket radio at first glance until you power them up and see all the cool features they have, of course. But from a physical standpoint, the way they integrate physically is awesome. And the way they integrate with the vehicle's data bus network as well as electronics, so steering wheel controls, factory amplifiers, factory cameras, all of that stuff. It's all pulled in, it's all adapted, everything works. It's really an incredible solution for these Jeeps, whether you have an older one or a newer.
Now, earlier on the show, Matt, we discussed some RadioPro solutions when it comes to the GM models 14 to 19. But I'm curious, is there a solution to put one of these high 10 or Horizon units to update that look for those platforms?
Yeah, man, those GM trucks, again, are such a popular platform. They're still really good looking trucks, and they're still fairly late model for a lot of them. There's a lot of low mileage trucks like that out rolling around out there. So the fact that we have solutions to not only put any aftermarket radio in the dash, but now we also have a solution to flush mount a 10.1 inch display into that dash. And it just so happens that the Horizon 10 and the High 10 happen to be almost the same shape as the factory dash bezel. Nothing looks better in the dash of those trucks than one of the Stinger radios. I'm telling you, you've got to check them out. Again, with that, it's going to be fully integrated. So we're maintaining factory USB ports, factory cameras, steering wheel controls. Everything is in there. The beautiful part is, because Stinger owns, all of these different brands, we're able to kind of pull parts from each brand to make it all work. So these Stinger kits for, say, this GM truck, not only do they have Stinger parts in there, but there's also parts from PAC that kind of tie it all together and make it all integrate seamlessly.
All right, we're going to continue the conversation in lieu of this new announcement of the latest Horizon piece, and not forget, of course, the High 10 piece as well, because there is another platform super popular out there that PAC has a great integration kit for, because there's a lot of models in this range of years, and of course, I'm talking about Toyota Tundra.
Yeah, you nailed it, Ben. I'm a Tundra owner myself of this generation, and I gotta say, again, there is nothing that integrates nicer into that dash. Nothing else looks as factory as having a High 10 or Horizon 10 integrated into that Tundra dash. And that's the one thing about those Tundras that most Tundra owners don't love, is they are great trucks. They can tow just about anything. They're built really well. It's a Toyota, right? So they're reliable, all great things, except that infotainment system in those is really pretty pathetic. Even if you get a really high trim platinum truck or something like that, the factory infotainment is pretty awful. So it's nice to have an option to drop in a 10.1 inch display, have CarPlay, have Android Auto, extra cameras, USBs, Bluetooth, all the goodies that you could possibly want in your nice Tundra, you can now have, and you don't have to sacrifice the look or any of the factory features. Again, that's the big thing with these kits, is you'll want to read the specifics for your vehicle and make sure that it's going to cover all your bases. But for generally speaking, these kits are built to integrate well and maintain all of the factory functionality we possibly can. So like in those Tundras, you drop in one of these screens, you're using the Stinger kit to go with it, which has all those PAC parts in there. And whether it's a JBL or a non-JBL equipped Tundra, it's going to work. Whether it has steering wheel controls or not, it's going to work. Factory cameras, all of that good stuff is maintained. And then don't forget factory USB, auxiliary ports, all that stuff. All of that is maintained as well, down to the simple things like antenna adapters and clips for the back of the dash kit. I mean, these kits really are totally comprehensive. They come with it all.
And that was Matthew Palumbo from Stinger, and of course, PAC, talking to us about some new updates as far as integration solutions. I love those integration kit guys. Anyhow, if you want more information on any of the products covered on today's show, make sure you hit up the official PAC website. You can find them at pac-audio.com. And if you happen to be tuning in from Canada, make sure you connect with the team at Auto Mobility. They are the major distributor for Pack products and Stinger products for that matter in Canada. So Automobility is your choice for Canadian dealers. Now, here's my takeaway. I am blown away by just how good these integration kits look for the New Horizon and as well as the High 10. Regardless of which radio you want to put in, the level of detail that these guys get into, not only in the fit and finish, but everything that comes in the kit, as well as just how easy it is to put in, they have literally thought of everything. And I think if you can get past, a lot of people struggle with the price of these integration kits. Look at the final product. That's what you need to be selling the customer when they see how well these things absolutely seamlessly just fade away into the background as if it was always there from the moment they bought the vehicle. It is incredible. Add to that the added features and also the retention of features. This is a home run through and through. Not to mention CanPro, you installer guys out there, take a look at that because you can get pretty darn creative with it. That's it for the CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.